if someone builds it, everyone dies.
Did Dylan create Alex? Did Alex create Dylan? Was it always meant to happen?
That's the thing with the Bootstrap paradox, is there never is a first event. You can't point to a start.
Today, Sterling and I are talking about the season finale of the hit post-apocalyptic TV show Paradise, Season 2, Episode 8, Exodus. So spoilers are ahead.
We kick our discussion off with our overall thoughts,
Jump into Sinatra and her character,
then dive into some theories about Sinatra, Jane, and more.
Quick shout out to our channel members. We appreciate everything you do for us, and we are so happy to have you. We couldn't do this without you.
Now, let's get into the episode.
So about Paradise. I think that this episode did a great job of holding tension.
Yeah. I think it was a much better final episode than the first one. Like, season 1 finale, I didn't think was a great ending. This one, I was really happy with.
Very happy with. I will say, I think it did a really great job holding tension. The whole episode, I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Wanting to know what's going to happen. However, I do think there was a lot of like extra tension that maybe didn't need to be added. The whole spot with I forget her name. What's her name?
With the kids?
No. She's with
Robinson.
Jeremy. She's with Jeremy.
Robinson.
Is that Robinson?
I think so.
It is Robinson. Robinson.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like there was a lot of extra tension added with her gunshot wound, or not gunshot wound, explosion wound. The kids carrying her. I get why that scene exists, but there was a lot of just things that didn't quite sit well for me, where she is telling him to go save himself, then she holds the gun at him. You're like,
yeah,
you're not going to shoot him. So, like, that was creating a little extra tension.
Yeah.
She gets left behind. He walks away, probably doesn't even go that far, comes back with some guys, gets her. That part and the final part with Xavier was just unnecessary tension. They knew they were going to try to close the doors. They knew somebody was going to have to stay behind. Xavier didn't have to get out. It was just to give him a little card, which she could have given him, and he could have been on his way. But it had to like create this moment of, is he going to get out? We'll see.
Right.
We knew he was getting out.
The show isn't, for me, has never been a perfect show. I do think that it has moments that are great. I think the show generally sits at very good for me. There are some moments that are below that. And even this episode, which I thought was overall for me was a great episode, still had a few spots that didn't quite hit. When Samantha and Dr. Tarabi meet back up, how quickly Dr. Tarabi forgives Samantha after she just had that kind of like really antagonistic speech towards her of, you know, whose blood it was and why. And she's saying it in this kind of like very defiant way. And it just took one sentence and Dr. Tarabi gave her a look like, you're all right in my book.
Okay. I took that scene a little bit differently. And I think this is what makes that scene okay for me.
Okay.
So, first off, I want to say that I think Sinatra is a phenomenal character. Samantha Redmond, I love the person who played her. I think her story arc from the beginning, from the first season to this second season, I think has been great. I think that she is a very interesting character. Clear motivations. Not clear motivations, I guess, but like consistent. She's very consistent with who she is. And I think she is a good person that was dealing with an enormous amount of grief. So then I think deep down, Samantha Redmond has been working on this Alex project, which I don't think a lot of people know about. I don't think most of the billionaires, presidents knew about Alex. I think that's Samantha only thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I think even some of the people that kind of knew about it still didn't really know about it.
Sure.
You know, like I think Cal, who, you know, knew that she had this other project.
Sure.
I think he didn't know the details. I think, you know, maybe Cal's dad knew a little bit more, but I don't even know if she gave him all the details. So I think there were like a few people who kind of knew.
Yeah. So I think that whatever it is, and we can go theorize about Alex and the interesting dynamics of that, but I think this is a woman that had been so overcome with the grief of losing her son that she had a one focus, a one track mind. And it was whatever to do with Alex to get this, fix the world, whatever. Not exactly sure yet. We'll dive into that. But I think she became healed when she saw Dylan. She knew that it worked. And she knew that everything that she was working towards was okay. I think that's why she was able to do the self-sacrificing at the end, because I think that she knew that it's in the right path. And so in that moment when she's talking to the doctor, which I'm drawing a blank on her name now too.
Dr. Tarabi.
Dr. Tarabi. I knew that. I think she came to be defiant, Dr. Tarabi, to her, to be like, I killed Jane. Jane was going to kill me. Like, you said she wasn't going to kill me. I had to kill her before she killed me. And I think that in that moment, Samantha was like, okay, I was really blindsided. I was kind of being a jerk. Dick. They clearly, her and Dr. Tarabi they seemed like they had a friendship before the bunker.
Yeah.
And so I think that Dr. Tarabi knows Samantha well. And so I think that since she's known her, this was the first time as a doctor she could recognize, she was like, you're not dealing with that grief anymore. Like, I think there's a brief moment you see Samantha smile, and I don't feel like we've seen her smile throughout the entire series. And she also does a very self-sacrificing moment. She says, you made the right choice on Exodus. It's not great. We'll survive it. We'll be okay. And then she tells everybody that's running the tower to go and that she's going to stay. And I think in that moment, she knew that she's healed or something or whatever. So that was okay for me. I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. It just... She was so angry at Dr. Tarabi was so angry at Sinatra, you know, to the point of when she gave the picture frame that had the mic in it, and she went through the whole story about her dad giving up on the truck that she thought her dad loved, and how she basically told Sinatra, I've given up on you.
Yeah.
And then we see kind of negative relationship from that point on, and just how quickly it was resolved was just a little, the way that it came across to me, the way that she spoke, you know, of like, this is Jane's blood, you know, and she knows that that Sinatra knows that Jane is a killer.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like putting it in your face, like, this is one of your goons and I did this to her. But I still thought it was a great episode. Sure. I think a lot was confirmed, and then a lot more was teased from it. And like you said, there was that like constant tension.
Yes. But even with the constant tension, one thing I do appreciate about this show, and I noticed it in the last episode, when these characters see each other that haven't seen each other in a long time, they take the time to show how real people would react. Like the very first time that Terry and Xavier meet up, the amount of times they just like hold each other and for how long they hold each other, it makes it feel like they're a real married couple. Same when they get to the kids, they take, because I hate when in shows, if you've been gone for a while, or a movie, if you've been gone for a while, you're reunited, it's like a quick like, hey, great to see you again, and then it's continue on with whatever we got to do. But like,
Right.
even when Xavier jumps in the elevator and he sees his daughter, the elevator is falling, they take a moment to like, I missed you, like, how are
Yeah.
you here, this is crazy. And I think that creates such an emotional connection to these characters that this show does it better than some of the other shows, than any other
Oh
show,
yeah,
really.
that moment that Terry saw the measurements of her kids, even though everybody else is running out of out of the bunker, and so that shit has hit the fan and you probably should go as well after you find your kid. It's hard not to see something like that, and that's like the greatest metaphor for the time that you've missed. You can literally see how much they have grown, and that, like, the passage of time via a few pencil marks.
Yeah, I thought that was a great moment. Like,
Yeah.
even though there's all this tension and it's go 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 go, there's these moments where you can just take a breath, and she's seeing the things that she missed. And in a way, Xavier kind of got her backstory of what she was going through for 3 years. And in a way, that was like their backstory in the last 3 years. Yes, short, abridged, and I'm sure they'll hear more stories, but it was just her quick way to be like, damn, ouch, ooh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I thought it was interesting that this episode was named Exodus, because on the surface, that can just be, an exodus can be a departure, but it's hard not to conflate it with like the most famous Exodus, which is, a part of the Bible, and whether or not that has any kind of significance, because that is such a unique word to choose for kind of an evacuation is
Sure.
essentially what it is, an evacuation plan. And that almost kind of reframes it of, is it more like they are being freed? Is it more like this is a new chapter for them versus, if it was called the evacuation plan?
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was kind of an interesting name to choose.
So I do think that this show does have a lot of metaphors. They, I believe, called it Olympus originally.
Yeah.
Like the Mountain of the Gods. It's also an ark. If you think about like Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
They are preserving.
The one president was called Hercules.
Hercules, exactly. So they do take a lot of inspiration. Specifically with this Exodus one, Exodus refers to Moses and them leaving Egypt for 40 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, in a weird way, Link is maybe a Jesus figure or a Moses figure.
Yeah.
They part the seas or the doors to go in.
Right.
We're very much like this.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of that this episode, but it's hard to not see religion in episodes of post-apocalyptic and
right.
I think it's a very natural allegory to fit in these post-apocalyptic situations.
It's also hard not to turn to something, the higher power, when things are at their worst. When all hope is lost, it's kind of the last line of defense as far as, it gives you hope that there is some meaning that maybe you don't understand, maybe you can't understand it, but it makes you feel better that there could be some kind of design and some kind of reward for what you've gone through. So even though I don't personally prescribe to it, I certainly can't understand in a situation like that why that wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about Alex?
I do.
I want to talk about Alex too. I want to know first your opinion of the reveal of Alex. Like, what did you think?
It was interesting. I thought the idea of a quantum computer was a very smart idea. Like, quantum computers, their processing is crazy. And so to the point where it will, if we create one, it'll probably break society, because I think cryptography, like the way that things are protected, like all of our bank information, is through like the multiplication of two extremely large prime numbers that current computers can't crack. That quantum computers, it's believed that quantum computers would crack those, and very quickly. So I don't know how society would continue if all of our private information is no longer safe. And that processing power, I don't know what that could do with a solid AI on it. I don't think that we would necessarily get anything timey-wimey like this. I actually got a very interesting book today, which I had ordered it like 3 weeks ago, and it was interesting it came today, because it's I think it's called "If Someone Builds It, Everyone Dies," and it's about a certain type of AI that these two people are trying to explain, that we are at a precipice, and there is a type of AI that if anybody builds it, all of humanity will die. And it feels like this is kind of in that area. Maybe it is actually going to save humanity, but it is doing a lot on its own. It seems like it is making its own choices, that it's thinking ahead and doing things before we even necessarily ask, and maybe things that we weren't going to ask. And like, why is it making these decisions? And so it feels like, hopefully it is good, but it kind of feels like it's in that same area where it potentially is legitimately thinking for itself and making its own decisions outside of what we are telling it.
It reminds me of that episode of Doctor Who with, I believe it's David Tennant.
Okay.
And they're on a train, and like something possesses somebody, and it starts to predict what the doctor is going to say.
Yeah.
And so then it starts saying things.
Oh, that's a great bottle episode.
It says it before he says what he's going to say. Yeah, it reminds me of that. And I think that this was such a cool way to explain this big thing that she's hiding. And I like that it's not like something that they're in control of. Yeah. Where like like in Dark Matter, they had a box that he's like, oh, you can travel to these different realities because we built it that way. We know how it works. We know what we can do. We don't know how to go to which door because you have to believe in it. But I liked that this was, we just have a really big computer that we don't even know what it's doing. We just know that it's such an efficient computer that it can start predicting things before they happen. It can start like seeing everything going on and measuring all the outcomes. And I think it's great that they left still a little bit of a mystery of, yes, it can maybe predict the future, but how did it create a whole human being? Right? Like, it's a computer. How did it create a whole human being that had died and kept him in this timeline? Are they merging timelines? Is it able, because it is quantum, to shift people over in realities? How come it's not everybody? How come it's like Xavier and Dylan and maybe Samantha and Billy, but nobody else really? Like, what is going on? I like there's still more mystery, and the people don't even know. That I think is cool.
Very cool. It also seems like it might be a great example of the Bootstrap paradox, and there is actually a Doctor Who episode that has a very good description of the Bootstrap paradox. So there's a Peter Capaldi episode where he explains that paradox as he's playing the electric guitar, where the idea is something, a closed circle where there is no start to something, which is impossible without time travel, and kind of seems even impossible with time travel. So the example in Doctor Who is there's a fan of, I think, Mozart, something like that. He has a time travel machine. He has his sheet music for Mozart. And he wants to go back in time to meet Mozart and like get it signed or something along those lines. He goes back in time and he finds out that there is no Mozart. And this is so distressing to him, the idea that this music could never be in the world, that he releases the music as Mozart. And so there is no original thing. You know, it was the music that he brought, is the music that he ended up falling in love with, that he brought with him, that created the thing. And it feels like that because it seems to me like Dylan created something important for Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not he created Alex or had an important breakthrough that allowed, him and the Doctor to kind of create Alex, it seemed like he was instrumental in it. But it also seems like Dylan wouldn't be alive if not for what Alex did.
Right. Who created who? Did
Correct.
Alex create? Interesting.
So Dylan creates Alex, but Alex wouldn't be alive to create Dylan without Alex, is what it seems like to me.
I did not think of that, but you're right. That is a very good point. That is like did Dylan create Alex? Did Alex create Dylan? Was it always meant to happen?
That's the thing with the Bootstrap paradox, is there never is a first event. You can't point to a start.
It did, as I was watching this episode, give me vibes of another favorite show of ours called Dark, which I won't say anything else about that. But This also is a little bit, it kind of gives you that similar vibe of like, how?
Yeah. So there's something else interesting, that when the Doctor wanted to shut down Alex, like the creation of like the continued work on Alex, and he was saying what Alex was doing that he thought was kind of worrying, the other guy said, have there been anomalies?
Yeah.
And, like repeated events, something, I don't remember what the exact words were, but it was interesting because there were a few things that the people in our comments had pointed out that I thought were such brilliant catches that I wanted to get on everybody's radar in case they hadn't gotten onto their radar. So one of them was the fact that Billy has had the same line said to him by two different people, which is the no bars in your town. Xavier said that to Billy in season 1, and then the Doctor said it to Billy in season 2. And when the Doctor says it to Billy, it's actually technically an earlier point in time than the Xavier one, even though it's later in the show. And yet you see him get caught off guard by it.
Right.
I think because I think it's because it's one of these anomalies. He's kind of heard it before, even though he hasn't heard it yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those anomalies. And you could just like write that one off as like weird coincidence, whatever. This one is harder to write off. In season 1, episode 1, Sinatra says to Xavier, the president tells me you have children, and then goes on to say something else like, so you're going to want to hear this. Season 1, episode 2, Sinatra says, Robinson tells me you have children.
She says that to Xavier 2 different times?
Yes.
The first one and the second one?
First one is, the president tells me you have children. The second one is Robinson tells me you have children.
Now, is it the same moment that, like, is it
No,
like this?
It's not the same. It's at different times.
Interesting.
If she'd said one of those, that would already be established that she had that moment with him, and she wouldn't say it again, and she definitely wouldn't say it different. And then, as I was trying to find, so somebody else in the comments had a really good idea that turned out not to be right. I spent a good deal of time going down a rabbit hole trying to find it, but I found something that, with what we know, just hit different for me. I don't even know if it really means anything, but it just hit very different for me. So in season 1, episode 6, as Robinson and Xavier are getting ready to do their whole, like, they've gotten the weapons, they're getting ready to, put the message on the sky, whatever. And Robinson, there's one of those scenes where you see like the weird split with Robinson.
Yeah.
And she seems distracted. She looks somewhere, and this is probably like her memory. It kind of flashes back to what looks like her memory of the day that they're all going in the bunker, and Robinson is like, trying to calm everybody with some words. But her words are just very interesting with if there's the possibility of like multiverses. Because what she says is, we may all come from different worlds, but we are all on the same team now. Now, I know that, like, normally when you say we all come from different worlds, it's a metaphorical. It's like,
right, we all come from different cultures, backgrounds.
Yes. But it was just weird right after that split thing, and then knowing that there's these weird things going on. It was just a very odd, specific choice for a word.
I will say, I do like that there's opportunity for certain characters to come back. Like this season, we had 2 characters that were dead from the first season that were prominently used throughout flashbacks.
Yeah.
Billy, Cal. And with the fact that Dylan is now alive, and Sinatra seems pretty confident about it. She told him to his face. Yep. She looked at him. She seemed fine with losing her life because now the ball is in motion to save the world, whatever that means. Like, even if you look at the Earth as a character, and the Earth before the volcano exploded, there is an opportunity to maybe heal the world and bring back some people. Annie can come back. Like, there is a lot of opportunity to bring back characters. And man, if they had this plan from season 1, I will have way more respect for the show than I already do, because that's crazy.
I mean, that's what it certainly seems like.
The first season feels so like, oh, we're in a bubble. This is the paradise. And then the scope of the show got so big in this season. They didn't fumble it. And I'm very impressed with what we're getting.
Oh, yeah. And I think that we definitely are getting one character back. And I don't think I think some people might have missed it because it was a little moment. And that's Jane is definitely not dead.
Jane is definitely not dead.
But I don't think that might not have been super obvious to some.
I think it's very missable.
Very missable. Yeah. Because it wasn't a scene of her up and about, moving around living. It was the shot of the empty shower, but it was while everything is collapsing, so the camera is shaking, so some people could have easily just thought that it was just a shot showing that everything is crumbling and falling down.
Right.
Versus realizing that is showing that Jane's still around, which to me means that this is something I theorized, was that she definitely wasn't going to be done with, because it didn't seem like that prophecy, that message that was given had actually been fulfilled, and that there was more meaning to it, and it would have not made sense for her to die yet.
Yeah, I will say I didn't love that Jane is alive. Not that I think Jane's could be an interesting character. I just don't like that she like got stabbed in the back, and Dr. Tarabi. It seemed like it happened in the middle of the night. She like stayed there till sunrise until all the alarms were going off, and we were having code red, and Jane was still in that same spot, like not treating her wound, not doing anything. Like, I feel like she would have probably bled out.
I'm not the biggest fan of her character, but I also felt like
I didn't think she could die.
The story that they set up with that message meant that her time wasn't over.
Agreed. I agree with you. Don't like her as a character, but she still has more to do. So
yes,
I just also didn't like the whole the killing her and then the bleeding, and then she just stayed there for a while, and then she's gonna have to get it treated, but now she also has to escape. Like, imagine being stabbed for 3 to 6 hours, and now having to escape in this craziness. Sure, you can kind of hide out a little bit more, but somebody's gonna find you with a stab wound. And
I mean, luckily she is one of the like elite physical people, because she was in some kind of program, I don't, CIA, FBI, something
like that,
some secret ops, so I do think that gives her a certain kind of like superpowers and a little bit of wiggle room that a normal person couldn't handle.
Do you think she went and grabbed her Switch before she got out of there? Do you think she grabbed the Switch and said, I'm also gonna stop at Cal's and grab the Wii and get out of there? You think she did that? That's what I think happened.
No, because there's not power in the outside. It's useless outside of the bunker.
That's true.
Which is sad. I wanted to give you props for an accidental prediction that you made that came true.
It wasn't accidental. I knew it was going to happen.
When we were talking about what we would do in the apocalypse. And part of your apocalypse plan was that there's, conspiracy theories about what's underneath of Denver airport, and that while you don't necessarily believe it, that you would want to check it out, if there was an apocalypse. And man, lo and behold, right below Blucifer, which if you don't know what Blucifer is, it's that blue horse statue outside of Denver airport with the red glowing devil eyes that fell on top of its creator before its creator was done making it, and so it killed its creator. This is true.
All true.
And that's outside of out of the airport with its red glowing devil eyes all the time.
To be fair, my guess prediction is a little bit based in real conspiracy
and so is there.
theories.
Like, I think they did that kind of based around that.
I that's what I'm assuming, because like even so recently, probably the last 3 years, there's been a lot of construction at DIA, and it has been like the airport leans into it. Freemasons, conspiracy theories, look it up. Like, they full on lean into the whole conspiracy theory that the airport is building some crazy bunker for the elites to live in, which they might be. And that might be just like a great cover up that nobody knows about.
So I thought that was funny. And then the card that Xavier got.
Yes.
Underneath user X.
Yeah.
Those 2 coordinates. The second one was for basically the airport.
Oh, it was.
And the first one was for another part of Colorado, which is, I assume, where the bunker is. I couldn't figure out what the other numbers were related to, though. Because they were not coordinates. They were...
Right. Maybe time.
Other weird
date.
numbers. Maybe. They were... Some of them had... The next set of numbers were like 2 digits, decimal, 2 digits each, and there were like 4 of them, and then there was like a dash in between them. And then the numbers underneath them had like 2 decimals in them, which I don't know what type of thing has multiple decimals in it. So I couldn't figure out what that referred to, but I think potentially they might be pointing onto like a 4D map, because there was what looked like a complex geometric shape, and each of the things were pointing at a different spot. So it did seem like in some way that they could be coordinates, even if they're not traditional latitude, longitude coordinates.
Maybe like how high up or how low. I could see that.
Something. I don't, yeah. And then I thought it was interesting, the reveal of Alex's name on the machine.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that too.
I don't have any theories. I thought it was interesting that it was A-L3X 0.2.
Yeah.
Which kind of made me wonder whether or not the 0.2, is that a reference to the fact that this isn't even Alex 1.0?
Well, I think that, because so usually if it's like 1.0, that's the first release. If it's a 0.2, that's usually a beta.
Like a beta or an alpha, yeah.
Yeah, so this doesn't feel like it's a true, like maybe, like they said that Alex is calculating, right?
Yeah.
She's thinking,
Yep.
she's still processing. And she's not quite done with the calculations yet. And to me, when she's done with the calculations, that's when she becomes full launched. And right now is the beta. So that's why I got the 0.2. But it did make me think that there's more to her name. And it is interesting that Xavier and X and Alex, it has an X at the end. After the 3. So it's like the X is a little bit on its own. And the A was by itself. Like, I want to know what that means.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, Don was wondering whether or not it was like the L is for Link and the X is for Xavier.
That could be.
Yeah, I'm very curious about those parts. And I do kind of wonder, like I said, about whether or not this is not the 1.0 version of Alex. And if, I think it's a crazy theory. I think there is another Alex out there, which is going to be the 1.0 Alex. Because it seems like Alex has already been able to do stuff to affect the past.
Sure. Yeah.
So part of this book I told you about, if somebody builds it, everyone will die. They give an AI an extremely complex problem to solve, and crazy amount of resources to do it. And with all of those resources, the AI realizes that it may not have the time and resources to completely do it, and so it, with this time that it does have, realizes that instead of trying to solve the problem, what it should be trying to do is figuring out how to get out of this. It's a closed system that's not connected to the internet, anything like that, of figuring out how to get basically more time and more resources, and how to be able to, when they turn the system off, to be able to survive outside, like how to be able to continue to do its work. And its goal is to solve this problem, but instead starts doing this other thing in order to to solve that problem. And it kind of makes me wonder whether or not the first thing that this like 0.2 version of Alex does is working on trying to make a better Alex that can save the world. And so whether or not that Alex ends up, it sets things into motion early enough on with another group that ends up building an even better version. And it's really that Alex that ends up saving the world. Wild theory, most likely there's almost nothing in the show that supports it. And it's all based off of something else I've read that just kind of made me wonder.
I do like that idea. I do think that we need the people, though, a little bit. So X has to play a big part.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan has to play a big part. And a part of me thinks that with that 3 in Alex, there's potentially a third person that is important to this thing. Maybe it's Jane and the message that it was trying to get to her. Maybe it's Billy, and maybe Bean is baby Billy, because we can just do that now.
Yeah.
I don't know, but also there could be a third computer. The 3 could mean a third computer. It is... I don't know if there's another computer, but it does seem like instead of... Because there's not enough resources currently to do what it wants, that instead it's like reaching its little tendrils into the past and seeing what it can change through certain actions, like the Circuit City guy. So it's almost, and maybe that's not even the Alex that we saw. Maybe it is that third stronger computer or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know, and I'm excited to find out.
I'm very excited to find out.
Hopefully we don't have to wait 3 years for season 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think I can predict one big thread that's going to happen.
Also, it has been picked up for season 3. So
I did know that.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it'll take. But I think one thing we will see in season 3 for sure is we're going to have to deal with the Dr. Tarabi and Terry and Xavier triangle. Not that there's really a triangle, but I feel like...
I forgot about that.
He did sleep with her.
Yeah.
She didn't... Terry didn't give up on Xavier, and...
Yeah.
And
the show does like to do a little bit of melodrama, so I could...
And it was like teased at the end, right? It was like X is back. Dr. Tarabi comes up to start talking to him. Then Terry walks right up. I was like, oh, you're teasing that this is going to be a problem. That somebody's going to mention something and it's going to create a whole thing. We'll see. But I have a feeling that's going to be a big plot point in the next season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.